This is Atlantic Television Network. Welcome to Global News. First, the highlights. Shatima receives theory into APC in Bayelsa State. Police deploy tactical team, helicopters, drones for Anambra poll. Akpabio disowns viral post mocking Trump. Namasa accredits 27 registered shipyards. Chad government short border with Nigeria over U.S. threats. Super Eagles to regroup in 1 week. Actor Malam Nata'ala dies after prolonged illness. Vice President Kashim Shettima has received Governor Doye Diri of Bayelsa State into the ruling All Progressives Congress. Diri was received into the ruling party 19 days after he resigned from the People's Democratic Party, PDP, adding that he left the PDP because some undertakers were bent on destroying the party. He also said he won't allow members of the Bayelsa State Assembly to be victims of the crisis rocking the PDP, and with Diri's defection, the PDP's political control is reduced to 8 states. This is coming after the Bayelsa State Governor, Doye Diri, said his decision to leave the People's Democratic Party, PDP, for the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, was made in the interest of the state. A statement made during the 14th Bayelsa Thanksgiving Day at the Ecumenical Center in Igbogene, Yenagoa, which was the first time he spoke publicly on the issue after resigning from the PDP on October 15th, said some people might not understand his decision to join the ruling party, but with time, it would become clear that his reasons were selfless. The governor expressed happiness over the gathering of different political leaders at the Thanksgiving service, adding that the unity of Bayelsa was crucial for its development and that his administration would continue to unite and advance the state. Federal government has officially handed over the completion of several key federal road projects, the Renewed Hope agenda. The handover, authorized by President Bola Tinubu, was declared by the Minister of Works, Senator David Umahi, during a grand civic reception held in honor of Governor Alex Oti at the Eyimba International Stadium. Aba and the affected roads include the Owerri-Umuahia Road, Onuigbo-Umuahia Road, Omezuo Bridge, and Umuahia-Ikot-Ekpene Road, all critical transport links within the Southeast Economic Corridor. A statement by the Director of Press and Public Relations in the Ministry of Works, Mohammed Ahmed, the minister said the gesture reflected the President's approval for Abia State to take over the reconstruction and rehabilitation of the projects based on a request and mutual understanding. The minister urged residents of Abia and the Southeast to support the Tinubu administration, adding that the region had benefited from several federal projects and key appointments, including that of the Chief of Air Staff, and described President Tinubu's approach as fair and inclusive, while highlighting the ongoing reconstruction of major federal highways across the region as evidence of balanced development. The collaboration has drawn widespread commendation from stakeholders who described it as a pragmatic approach that would enhance mobility, boost commerce, and promote regional integration between Abia and neighboring states. Imo State Police Command has denied the social media reports that operatives of its anti-kidnapping unit Tiger Base tortured a terror suspect Magnus Ejiogu to death, describing the report as false, unfounded, and deliberately aimed at maligning the image of the Nigeria Police Force. The command spokesman, Henry Okoye, who disclosed this in a statement issued in Owerri, said the disease, popularly called Emu, aged 49, from Obudi Agwa in Oguta local government area, was identified as a major sponsor and financier of the proscribed IPOB ESN, adding that the disease was responsible for multiple deadly attacks, including the assassination of the traditional ruler of Abudi Agwa in Oguta local government area, Eze Ignatius Aso, in 2022. He was also linked to the attack on Agua police station in 2022, which resulted in the killing of 5 police officers, including a pregnant policewoman, and confirmed that his arraignment was delayed only because of the ongoing warning strike by members of the judiciary. According to Okoye, the command firmly maintains its position that at no point was the subject subjected to torture, maltreatment, or denied access to his family or legal representative. Ahead of the November 8th governorship election in Anambra State, the Nigeria Police Force has deployed an advanced tactical team, helicopters and surveillance drones to the state as part of measures to ensure a hitch-free exercise. The Commissioner of Police in Anambra, Ikioye Orutugu, who disclosed this while addressing journalists in Awka, said the deployment was approved by the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, and the move is in line with the force's strategic operational plan to reinforce local formations with additional manpower and advanced technical support, including aerial surveillance tools. Receiving the tactical teams in Awka or Rutugu, in Awka, Orotugu expressed appreciation to the Inspector General for what he described as his unwavering support and commitment to the safety of lives and property in the state, adding that aerial surveillance will complement ongoing land patrols by tactical units, intelligence operatives, and police special squads strategically deployed across all 21 local government areas of the state. Meanwhile, the Independent National Electoral Commission has declared full readiness for the governorship poll scheduled for November 8 across the state's 5,718 wards. The National Commissioner supervising Anambra and chairman of the Tenders Board Committee, Dr. Kenneth Ikeagu, who disclosed this during a press briefing at the INEC state headquarters in Awka, said INEC would deploy about 24,000 ad hoc staff and had accredited 540 journalists to cover the election. He also said INEC had implemented a comprehensive plan covering logistics, technology, training, stakeholder engagement, and security coordination, stressing that 16 candidates from 16 political parties will contest the November 8th poll. Police have warned non-state actors, including state-owned vigilante group Ebube Agụ, the indigenous people of Biafra IPOB, and the Eastern Security Network ESN, to stay away from the upcoming November 6th governorship election in Anambra State. The Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Egbetokun, represented DIG Ben Okoro, gave the warning during the signing of the National Peace Accord at International Conference Center ICC, Awka, the state capital, ahead of the Saturday's election, adding that the provision of security during the governorship election is solely the responsibility of federal agents. The police warned that any individual or group caught bearing arms to obstruct lawful voting or undermine the sovereignty of the Federal Republic of Nigeria will be matched with a decisive force, adding that targeted intelligence operations are already active to identify, isolate, and dismantle any network or individual floating acts of intimidation. Political parties and candidates participating in the Anambra State governorship election have signed a peace accord ahead of the election slated for Saturday, November 8, 2025. The signing, which took place on Monday at the International Convention Center, Awka, was organized by the National Peace Committee, headed by former head of state Abdulsalam Abubakar, and supervised by the Bishop of the Catholic Diocese of Sokoto, Bishop Matthew Kuka. Some of the parties and their candidates present at the signing of the peace accord include the All Progressives Grand Alliance, All Progressives Congress, People's Democratic Party, Labour Party, African Democratic Congress, and Accord, and detained another suspect, and in collaboration with Neighborhood Watch members, raided a black spot at Amechi Alkuna now in Enugu. He said operatives detained 3 suspects and 6 live cartridges were recovered from them, adding that the suspects would be arraigned upon conclusion of investigations. According to him, the State Commissioner of Police, Mama Giwa, commended the command for the successful operation and urged residents to be law-abiding, vigilant, and support the police, especially during the Ember months. National Drug Law Enforcement Agency has arrested the music artist gospel George Osaherewem, popularly known as Steady Boy, for allegedly attempting to receive a consignment of smuggled illicit drugs from the United States of America for his manager in the Lekki area of Lagos State, NDLEA. A spokesperson, Femi Bafemi, who disclosed this in a statement, said Steady Boy was arrested following the seizure of a large consignment of loud concealed inside 3 cartons of bathtubs and intercepted at the important shed of the Murtala Muhammed International Airport, Ikeja, Lagos. From the U.S. aboard a DHL flight on Tuesday, Babafemi said, following months of intelligence gathering after a freshly cooked colos was intercepted, a clandestine laboratory where Colorado was being produced in large quantities was uncovered, while the suspected owner of the laboratory was arrested, adding that one Jamil Mustafa was arrested in Nasaru town. Ningi LGA of Bauchi State, while 432,600 pills of tramadol and Exol 5 were recovered from the trio of Halilu Amiru, Rabiu Mikudi, and Ibrahim Mati in a truck at Okong Olo Ilorin, Kwara State. Police command in Lagos State has declared activist Omoyele Sowore wanted for allegedly planning to incite public disorder and obstruct major roads in the state. Commissioner of Police Mr. Oluhundare Jimo to journalists on Monday at the Iyana Oworo section of the 3rd Mainland Bridge said the command is closing in on Sowore and others accused of coordinating activities intended to disrupt public peace. According to the Lagos Police Chief, intelligence reports indicated plans by Sowore and his associates to stage demonstrations at strategic locations, including 3rd Mainland Bridge, Lekki Tollgate, and Freedom Park. Osun State Governor Ademola Adeleke has called for calm and constructive dialogue between Nigeria and the United States, following what he described as the recent threat of security and diplomatic actions against Nigeria by President Donald Trump. A statement released in Osogbo and published on the official Osun State government's website on November 3rd, 2025, Adeleke urged both nations to sustain their long-standing diplomatic relationships, stressing on renewed diplomatic engagements between Nigeria and the United States of America over the recent security situation in the country. The statement was signed by Olawale Rashid. Spokesperson to the state governor was also shared on the state's X handle on Monday. Adeleke said the situation is a wake-up call to rigorously implement new security measures and forceful counter-terrorism actions in partnership with diplomatic ties. Alex, I beg your pardon. The Osun governor stressed that diplomatic dialogue, not confrontation, should define the response to the current sessions. Ogun State Police Command has arrested the leader of a notorious robbery syndicate alleged to have terrorized multiple communities in the Ifo corridor, leading to relief among residents. The Ogun Police Public Relations Officer Omolola Odutola, in a statement, said the breakthrough followed a targeted operation and the alleged robbery incident had already been linked to the suspect, citing a case recorded in October. Odutola said investigations also led to the arrest of another alleged accomplice which triggered excitement in the affected communities. The Commissioner of Police, Lanre Ogunlowo, commended the operatives and ordered that the suspects be transferred to the State Criminal Investigation Department for further investigation and prosecution. Benue State Governor Reverend Father Hyacinth Elia has called on Nigerians to rekindle their spirit of patriotism and faith as essential ingredients for building a stronger and more united nation. Speaking during a holy mass at the Government House Chapel in Makurdi, Aliyah stressed the need for citizens to imbibe the spirit of nationalism by showing love for their country and maintaining a positive outlook despite prevailing challenges. The governor further cautioned agents against utterances that undermine national unity, urging Nigerians instead to promote peace, hope, and mutual responsibility. Governor Aliyah offered special prayers for the repose of departed souls, including members of the armed forces, who said the ultimate prize for national security, as well as for past leaders and every Nigerian striving for a better future, and further prayed for God's wisdom, strength, and divine protection upon all citizens. Reaffirming his administration's dedication to peace development and moral rejuvenation, the governor assured that his government would continue to implement policies that uplift the welfare of Benue people and contribute to Nigeria's overall progress, and further urge Nigerians across all faiths and religions to in their prayers for the country's peace, stability, and prosperity, adding that collective faith and patriotic action remain the bedrock of a great nation. Troops of 12th Brigade Nigerian Army, Lokoja, rescued 2 kidnapped victims and recovered 3.8 million naira ransom meant for their release. A statement by the brigade spokesperson, Lieutenant Hassan Abdullahi, on Monday in Lokoja said the 2 victims, male and female, were rescued on Sunday in Achijili Forest along the Itogbe Adamu Ejule Road by the brigade's troops deployed at Forward Operating Base FOB Oguma. Abdullahi said the Nigerian Army remained resolute and unwavering in its determination to protect lives and property, and also called on members of the public to continually support the military and other security agencies by providing timely and credible information that will aid the fight against criminal elements within the state. I beg your pardon. Commissioner of Police, Federal Capital Territory Command, CP Mila Dantawaye, has ordered an extensive crackdown on criminal elements across the country as part of a renewed effort to strengthen public safety and sustain peace. A statement by the FCT Police Public Relations Officer SP Josephine Ade, the Commissioner, directed all tactical and surveillance units under the State's Criminal Investigation Department, SCID, including operatives of the Police Mobile Force and the Counter-Terrorism Unit, to join forces with divisional police formations in the cleanup operation. Dantawaye charged all officers involved in the operation to carry out their duties professionally and warned that any act of misconduct or unprofessional behavior would not be tolerated, and also urged the operatives to maintain discipline, integrity, and respect for human rights throughout the exercise. The Commissioner also appealed to residents to cooperate with security personnel and report suspicious movements or activities to the nearest police station. Kebbi State Police Command has rescued 6 kidnapped victims unhurt in Dongko following a fierce gun battle with armed bandits in Danko Wasagu local government area of the state. A statement issued by the police public relations officer CSP Nafiu Abubakar on Monday said the rescue operation was part of ongoing efforts to clamp down on banditry and other violent crimes in the state, and the incident occurred Saturday, November 2nd, when about a dozen armed bandits invaded Tonga Wazga and Unguwa Chiroma villages, kidnapping 10 residents. The confrontation, according to police, forced the bandits to abandon some of their captives and flee into the forest with possible ground-shot wounds, adding that search and rescue operations are operations that are ongoing to free for victims and arrest the fleeing suspects. He reaffirmed the command's commitment to protecting lives and property and urged residents to continue supporting the police with timely and credible information to help combat insecurity in the state. Kano State Executive Council has approved more than 8.2 billion, for a series of projects targeted at revitalizing education, strengthening water supply, and enhancing energy efficiency across the state. A statement by the governor's spokesperson, Sanusi Bature, who said the decisions were reached during the council's 33rd meeting, presided over by Governor Abba Kabe Yusuf, who said over 4.9 billion naira was earmarked for key education sector interventions aimed at boosting infrastructure, improving learning standards, and expanding access to quality education. The projects include the Phase 2 renovation of Government Technical College, Ungongo, settlement of outstanding debts owed to boarding school, feeding suppliers, and the production of instructional materials through the Kano printing press, including the completion and furnishing of the e-library at the Kano State College of Education and Preliminary Studies, as well as the funding of accreditation exercises at Kano State Polytechnic. The council also approved the procurement of office furniture and fittings for Northwest University, Kano, which the statement said would enhance both academic and administrative efficiency. And the council approved 3.3 billion naira for water supply and energy-related projects meant to improve access to clean and safe water in both urban and rural communities. The breakdown includes funding for the construction of a modern water treatment plant at Stali YY in Rano local government area, as well as the payment of electricity and fuel bills incurred by the State Water Board to sustain operations. You're watching the Global News on Atlantic Television Network, but we'll be back after this break. Please stay with us. Welcome back. This is the Global News and Atlantic Television Network. Now to the rest of our stories. President Bola Tinubu has directed the Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare to ensure that members of the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors who are on strike resume work immediately, adding that government have approved the increase of the retirement age for clinical health workers to 65 years, and the policy is undergoing final establishment procedures before implementation. The directive was disclosed by the Minister of State for Health and Social Welfare, Dr. Isiaq Salako, during a press briefing on Monday in Abuja, following the total and indefinite strike declared by NARD on Saturday, adding that the government had been engaging the leadership of NARD to resolve the issues behind their industrial action. Salako said the striking doctors had presented 19 separate demands, which the ministry was addressing one after another, adding that a circular issued by the National Salaries, Incomes and Wages Commission in July had caused division among health sector workers. He said a collective bargaining agreement process was initiated in August to unify discussions across all health sector unions, including the Nigerian Medical Association, National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives, and the joint health sector unions, stressing that one of the disputes was between groups advocating relatively in remuneration and others insisting on equivalence, both of which he described as mutually exclusive. The second contentious issue, he said, was the appointment of some non-doctor health workers as consultants in 2020, which caused discontent among doctors, adding that despite the CBA rule against industrial action, while negotiations are ongoing, several meetings had been held to address the doctors' concerns, responding to NARD's complaint about unregulated work hours and manpower shortages. The minister said the government had approved massive recruitment in the health sector. Senate President Godswill Akpabio has distanced himself from a viral social media post linking him to comments allegedly mocking United States President Donald Trump over his recent threat of military action in Nigeria, describing the statement as completely fabricated, malicious and reckless. A statement issued in Abuja on Monday by Akpabio's Special Advisor on Media and Publicity, Eseme Eyibo, following a post published by a social media platform known as Rant HQ, said the story went viral, drew outrage online, and sparked debates amid heightened diplomatic tension following Trump's remarks accusing Nigeria of widespread Christian persecution. In his reaction, Akpabio's media office denied ever issuing such a statement, adding that the accompanying photograph used by Rant HQ showing the Senate President at an unrelated official event was deceptively deployed to lend false credibility to a fabricated quote that was never uttered by him. The Senate President's office described the viral post as a clear act of digital recklessness and a deliberate attempt to sow confusion, tarnish reputations, and inflame unnecessary diplomatic sentiments. Senior advocates of Nigeria have faulted the threat by United States President Donald Trump to deploy American troops to Nigeria over alleged killing of Christians, saying such a move would amount to an invasion and a violation of Nigeria's sovereignty under international law. This is coming after Trump designated Nigeria a country of particular concern over alleged Christian genocide and followed with the threats to send U.S. troops to wipe out Islamic terrorists killing Christians in Nigeria. Reacting to the controversy, constitutional lawyer Professor Ise Sage, senior advocate of Nigeria, said any form of foreign military intervention without the consent of Nigeria's government would be an act of aggression, while Adedayo Adedeji, senior advocate of Nigeria, underscored that under international law, every state retains the rights to independence and territorial control without external interference. However, Chief Mike Alhamba, senior advocate of Nigeria, described the alleged killings as deeply troubling, stressing that the federal government must put a stop to avoid external intervention and further urged the Tinubu administration to focus on resolving Nigeria's internal security challenges, particularly the recurring farmer-herder conflicts in the Middle Belt and other parts of the country. African Democratic Congress has reacted to the decision of United States President Donald Trump naming Nigeria as a country of particular concern on October 31, 2025, saying the development reflects a global worry over Nigeria's rising insecurity, which had urged U.S. President Donald Trump to threaten the deployment of military forces to Nigeria if the alleged genocide against Christians is not stopped in the country. Trump, in a post on his Truth Social platform, had directed the Department of War to prepare for possible action if the killings continued. A statement signed by its National Publicity Secretary, Bolaji Abdullahi, on Monday said the action by Trump again highlights the urgency and scale of Nigeria's security collapse, adding that the U.S. President's designation underlines the global expectation that governments must protect the lives of citizens living within their borders. It warned that the crisis was no longer regional or religious, but a national existential threat, and also faulted the Tinubu administration for failing to appoint ambassadors 2 years into office. The party listed policy steps including the overhaul of security architecture, appointment of ambassadors, a reset of foreign policy focused on national interest, targeted economic reforms to ease inflation, and depersonalization of public institutions, and further urged the U.S. and other nations to focus on supporting Nigeria institutionally, not through military threats. Social Democratic Party has warned U.S. President Donald Trump and the American government against any attempts to interfere in Nigeria's internal affairs under the guise of religious freedom or humanitarian intervention. Instead, the party urged Washington to offer military and intelligence assistance if it is truly concerned about the killings in the country. The warning came through the SDP National Publicity Secretary, Rufus Ayeniba, following Trump's recent statements designating Nigeria as a country of particular concern over alleged religious persecution, and the designation has triggered fresh diplomatic tensions between Abuja and Washington. In its reaction, the SDP declared that while Nigeria's security failures were undeniable, its sovereignty remained non-negotiable, adding that foreign powers must respect the limits of the United Nations Charter and refrain from actions that could amount to aggression. The SDP further cautioned that President Trump or any other foreign leader cannot love Nigeria more than Nigerians love themselves, warning that any U.S. military incursion could end in sorrow, tears, and blood. Similar to the aftermath of interventions in Iraq, Libya, and Afghanistan, and called on President Bola Tinubu to focus on his constitutional duty to secure lives and property rather than political calculations ahead of the 2027 general election. Former President Goodluck Jonathan has alleged that ex-U.S. President Barack Obama plotted his defeat in 2015. Jonathan made this allegation in his new book, My Transition Hours, due to launch on Tuesday, adding that Obama displayed an unusual level of bias during the 2015 elections, describing him as overbearing and condescending in his message to Nigerians ahead of the 2015 general. He blamed Obama, who was American president from 2009 until 2017, for saying all Nigerians must cast their votes without intimidation or fear, but was reluctant to allow the Nigerian security forces drive Boko Haram insurgents away from the Nigerian territories they had been occupying in order to free Nigerian citizens there ahead of elections. Jonathan also took a harsh aim at former U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry, saying the diplomat was nonchalant in his attitude towards his government, despite all efforts to make him understand that the decision to postpone election was in the overall interest of Nigeria. Protests erupted at Wadata Plaza in Abuja, the national secretariat of the People's Democratic Party, as supporters of the faction loyal to the PDP National Vice Chairman, North Central, Mohammed Abdul Rahman, stormed the premises. The group, chanting solidarity songs, demanded that the National Working Committee, led by Umar Damagum, vacate the headquarters immediately. This is coming after Abdul Rahman was named the acting national chairman of the party last week, as the leadership crisis threatening the soul of the party worsened with suspension of the party's national secretary, Senator Samuel Anyanwu, and the legal advisor Kamaldeen Ajibade for a period of 1 month. In a dramatic twist, the faction loyal to Anyanwu converged at a separate venue in Abuja and declared the suspension of the Damagum-led NWC and the protesters who accused the Damagum-led leadership of mismanaging party affairs vowed to reclaim control of the secretariat for the Abdurrahman-led faction. Security operatives have been deployed to the area to prevent a breakdown of law and order as both factions struggle for control of the party's edifice. President of the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors, Dr. Mohammed Suleiman, has faulted the federal government's claim that it has released 11.9 billion naira within 72 hours for the payment of outstanding arrears and allowances to doctors and other health workers across the country. Suleiman said only about 500 million naira of the amount is meant for resident doctors. The Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare is a statement signed by its Deputy Director and Head of Information and Public Relations, Alaba Balogun, said the government would release 11.9 billion naira for the payment of arrears, including a accountant allowance as part of measures to address the welfare concerns of doctors and restore industrial harmony in the health sector. The ministry's statements came amid a nationwide strike by resident doctors who on Saturday withdrew their services across 91 federal and state tertiary hospitals over unpaid arrears, delayed allowances, and other welfare-related issues. However, reacting to the ministry's claims, Suleiman said both the 25 to 35% arrears and the accountant allowance are long-standing entitlements that date back over 2 years and belong to all categories of health workers, not just doctors, while insisted that the accumulated allowance was not a new intervention, but an old entitlement owed doctors. Suleiman, however, commended the Minister of Finance and coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edu, for his swift response to the financial aspects of the doctors' grievances. And now to our business news. Federal government has reiterated its commitment to the sustainable use of Nigeria's natural resources as a pathway to achieving environmental protection, economic empowerment, and poverty reduction. Speaking during the flag-off of a week-long training for members of the urban community in Cross River State, the Minister of Environment, Balarabe Lawal, said the government remains focused on promoting biodiversity-based enterprises that balance economic growth with ecological preservation. Represented by the Director General of the Forestry Research Institute of Nigeria and Chairman of the Nigeria Man and the Biosphere Committee, Dr. Zachariah Yaduma, the minister said the initiative was designed to help local communities harness the economic value of biodiversity without depleting natural resources, adding that environmental education and entrepreneurship were crucial to deepening community understanding of ecosystem management and ensuring long-term sustainability. The UNESCO National Professional Officer for Science, Dr. Enang Moma, said the initiative aims to link biodiversity conversation with wealth creation with a focus on empowering women and youth for inclusive development, stressing that the initiative aligns with Nigeria's broader environmental agenda and the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, particularly those related to biodiversity conservation, poverty reduction, and gender equality. Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Ahmed Dangiwa, has decried the failure of most states to adopt and implement the Urban and Regional Planning Law, Decree 88 of 1992, CAPS 138 LFN 2004, over 3 decades after its enactment, describing it as a major setback to Nigeria's pursuit of orderly and sustainable urban development. Speaking at the National Colloquium on the implementation of the Urban and Regional Planning Law, organized by the Nigerian Institute of Town Planners in Abuja, the minister expressed concern that only 2 states have domesticated the landmark legislation since its enactment 33 years ago. He commended the Nigerian Institute of Town Planners for convening the National Colloquium, describing it as timely and essential for national reflection on how to revitalize planning practice as a tool for sustainable development. adding that the realities of rapid urbanization, climate change, and technological advancement have outpaced the law's provisions, making its review and updates both urgent and necessary. Under the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Tinubu, the minister reaffirms the commitment of the Federal Ministry of Housing and Urban Development to driving the nationwide adoption, domestication, and effective implementation of the law, adding that the ministry is also working to review and modernize the legislation to align with current realities and emerging global standards in spatial and physical planning. Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency have accredited 27 registered shipyards across the country. The statement said the mandate enshrined in Section 22 of the NIMASA Act 2007 and Sections 335 to 339 of the Merchant Shipping Act 2007 gives the agency statutory powers to regulate, license, inspect, and enforce standards for shipyard operations in Nigeria. According to a statement by the Deputy Director, Head of Public Relations at NIMASA, Osaje Edward, out of the 27 accredited facilities, 10 are located in Lagos State, 8 in Rivers State, and 9 in Delta State, he said. The verification and accreditation process is a continuous one, aimed at ensuring operational excellence across the nation's maritime value chain. The Director General of NIMASA, Dr. Dayo Morobereola, said the accreditation exercise forms part of the agency's broader drive to enhance safety and streamline operational efficiency in the maritime industry and are used to design and assemble new vessels, including cargo ships, tankers, fishing vessels, cruise liners, and naval warships, stressing that the process involves stages like steel coating, block fabrication, hull assembly, launching, and outfitting. And now to our international tidbits. President Donald Trump of the United States has repeated his threat of a military operation in Nigeria over the killings of Christians, after the Nigerian presidency suggested a meeting to resolve the issue. Trump said this while fielding questions from journalists aboard Air Force One on Sunday. This is coming after Trump, in an explosive post on his Truth Social platform, said he asked the Pentagon to map out a possible plan of attack in Nigeria, one day after warning that Christianity was facing an existential threat in Africa's most populous country. According to Trump, if Nigeria does not stem the killings, the United States will attack, and it will be fast, vicious, and sweet, just like the terrorist thugs attacked the cherished Christians. Meanwhile, Daniel Bwala, spokesperson for Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu, said Nigeria is America's partner in the global fight against terrorism and welcomes U.S. support to fight terrorism as long as it respects its territorial integrity. Chad government has declared an immediate closure of its border with Nigeria on heightened security concerns fueled by rumors of purported U.S. forces movement in parts of West Africa. Military sources in the Jamena confirmed on Monday that President Mahamat Idris Deby Itno ordered a military lockdown on the Nigerian border after intelligence indicated that terrorist actions from northern Nigeria were planning to cross into Chad. According to Zagazola Makama, Chadian troops and armored vehicles have been deployed to critical routes from Nigeria, and all units are now at full readiness. President Deby reportedly warned that no armed group or foreign force will be allowed to enter Chadian soil under any disguise, and the border closure comes amid growing regional tension and speculation over America's alleged military activities in the Sahel and West Africa. Security experts say Chad's action is a precautionary step aimed at protecting its borders and preventing infiltration by militants who may seek to exploit the current instability in the region. Finnish President Alexander Stubb says a new era of nuclear weapons had begun after the United States last week declared it planned new nuclear weapons tests. Last week, U.S. President Donald Trump declared that the United States will begin testing nuclear weapons, raising questions about whether he meant conducting the country's first nuclear explosion since 1992. Russia and China have not carried out such tests since 1990 and 1996, respectively, while Trump alleged that countries including Russia and China have conducted underground nuclear tests unknown to the public and that the United States would follow suit. Dropping decades of military non-alignment, the Nordic country joined the US-led NATO military alliance in 2023, following Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Tanzania's Samia Suluhu Hassan was inaugurated as president on Monday, with an internet blackout still in place after election protests in which the opposition says hundreds were killed by security forces. The Electoral Commission said Hassan won 98% of the votes and was sworn into office despite the main opposition party, Chadema, which was barred from running, rejecting the results. Total internet blackout has been in place since protests broke out on election day, so only a trickle of verifiable information has been getting out of the East African country. But the government has not made comments of any details except to reject accusations that excessive force was used. Schools and colleges remained closed on Monday, with public transport halted and reports of some church services not taking place on Sunday. Heavily criticized leader of Spain's Valencia region has stepped down a year after floods hit the area in the country's deadliest natural disaster in a generation. Mazon has faced fierce scrutiny over his handling of the October 29, 2024 catastrophe that killed more than 230 people, consistently rebuffing calls for his resignation. The alert also came more than 12 hours after the National Weather Agency had issued its highest alert level for torrential rains, and despite signs of severe flooding, Mazon went ahead with a long lunch with a journalist on the day of the catastrophe. He has defended his handling of the crisis, saying its magnitude was unforeseeable and that central authorities did not provide sufficient warning about the severity of the rain. And to our sports news. Super Eagles players are expected to report to camp in 1 week ahead of their 2026 World Cup qualifying playoff clash with Gabon. A post on the team's official X handle on Monday said Nigeria will take on the Panthers on November 13 at the Prince Moulay El Hassan Stadium, Rabat, Morocco. The other playoff semi-final is between Dr. Congo and Cameroon. The head coach of the Eagles, Eric Chell, is expected to release a list of invited players this week. Arsenal defender William Saliba has revealed why he turned down a move to Real Madrid. This is coming after Saliba signed a contract extension with the Gunners and claimed he wants to win silverware with the Premier League side before he can think of leaving the Emirates. Saliba might get his wish this season to end their two-decade wait for the league title. Mikel Arteta's men are 6 points clear at the top after 10 matches. And now to our entertainment news. Popular social media commentator Daniel Rega has explained why the US President Donald Trump called Nigeria a disgraceful country. A statement warned that if the Nigerian government fails to tackle the alleged genocide against Christians, the US would immediately stop all aid and assistance to the West African country. The US leader also warned that his nation may very well go into Nigeria, which he labeled that's now disgraced country, to wipe out the terrorists allegedly perpetrating the religious persecution. Reacting, Rega, in a post on his official X account, claimed that Nigeria is a disgraced country today as a result of bad leadership from all regions, adding that corruption is found in every state and all ethnicities are involved. Popular Kannywood actor Yakubu Mato, popularly known as Malaam Na Ta'ala, is dead. Mato gained prominence for his role as an Almajiri school teacher in Arewa's 24 Hausa drama series Dadinkowa, where his performance endeared him to audiences across northern Nigeria. The late actor featured in several Kannywood productions before his rise on Dadinkowa, and his illness had drawn public concern in recent months, leading to fundraising appeals and reported intervention